Everybody, welcome back to the Purple Friday Show, episode 242. Little bit late on the Ravens schedule, but life be lifing, and
Definitely.
keep it right before summer Memorial Weekend. Unofficial beginning to the summertime and travel and everything else. So we get it. People have things to do. Um, so maybe Trey will join us later. We don't know, but again, he's got a lot going on. So we got a little bit of time, obviously, before once the season gets kicked off and stuff. But we got a little bit of uh, a shock to the system, as so to speak, with the schedule release. Like we knew, everybody knew who the opponents were. But
Yeah.
everybody wants to know how it lays out. How does the schedule shake out as far as when we play who, and things like that. So as you see on the screen, for those of you watching, this is the Ravens schedule with the looks like the teams in that are highlighted are our home games, and then the ones that are I think faded out are our away games. And or is it the other way around? Because we play Buffalo. No, Buffalo is in Baltimore. No, we're at Buffalo. So my
No,
bad.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
at Buffalo. So
So
yeah, the ones with
the highlighted
was the white
colors.
highlight. Yeah.
Yeah, the colors with the team colors are our home games, and then the faded out with the one with the white and purple backgrounds, the away game. So just by looking at it right now, there are a lot of the games. So the Ravens have a bye week in week 7, but still, with the first 8 weeks of the season, the Ravens have six. Well, not six. They have 5 home games and just 2 bye games. So early on in the season, we could see potentially the Ravens having a very solid record going before they even head to was at Miami before they play the Dolphins in week 9. I think they said the Ravens have the 6th toughest schedule in as far as how it shakes out. The Bills, apparently, I did watch some of the shows. The Bills, they said, had one of the easier schedules, considering they were in the conference title game. Not even a couple months ago, but they get an easier schedule. Maybe they're trying to give Josh Allen the Bills some love there. Trying to give them an easy way to win the conference and get the number 1 seed and potentially a home game set in Buffalo. But look, the one thing I will say about Lamar and the Ravens, and I think Ravens fans have been accustomed to the last few years, Lamar and these guys aren't afraid of the schedule. Like, we've seen tough schedules with this Ravens team in previous years that I would honestly, looking at this, I consider a couple years ago was even tougher. Like, we've seen tough schedules from these Ravens since Lamar's been the starting quarterback, and he has been unfazed by it. If anything, it seems like he relishes it because it pits him on prime time. It puts him in front of all the cameras are going to be on these games. And Lamar, I think, shines the brightest in these games. What's your preliminary before we start getting into each one each week? What is your, just by looking at the schedule, what are you seeing? I also glad there are no international games for the Ravens this go around.
Yeah, I think the big call out is what they highlighted. And that's like we're not traveling as much this year or as far. And that's a good thing. That's been an issue recent years. So the travel, I think that's gonna bode real well for our health. I think the traveling has been an issue when it comes to our health, or when we lag in those first halves in games, and sometimes we classify it as a hardball game because we already know how hardball doesn't get his guys prepared sometimes. But a lot of the travel we've been doing the past couple seasons really plays a big factor in our sluggish starts. But overall, I think what I'm seeing is, I kind of feel like the first couple games, there are some, it could go bad, but I feel confident in that it could go good. And I think we have a good stretch in the middle of the season where we can get off a lot of wins. And to be honest, I feel good about where our division games are placed. I think it's ample opportunity to be hitting our stride when we're going to be facing probably our toughest division opponent, which is Cincinnati, because I don't expect much from the Steelers or Browns. But I'm glad we have them. We actually have them in a good area where we should be beginning to hit our stride, where we can knock off some real good wins and lock up the division. So I feel real good about this schedule. I think, we have a good opportunity to have one of the top records in the AFC. And like I said, I'm just really happy we're not traveling 100,000 miles across the world, across the country, and having 3 days rest in between games.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what I'm most happy about.
Yeah, I think the farthest west they have to go is with Missouri, I guess, and Kansas City. They don't have any West Coast trips on this in this lineup right now. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's a and look, having I think having the Bills week one, like having them when we had was it week three last year,
Hmm.
is a different. I think the aspect of this season is going to be a little bit different for the simple fact that it took the Ravens about 5 weeks to get Derrick Henry, like trying to figure out how much to run him, like the packages he was going to run in and things like that. It wasn't until about that was it that Cowboys game? I think it was was it Cowboys? I think it was the Cowboys game
Yeah.
but he finally started
We
like, all right,
started
he went
going.
off. Like, all right,
Mhm.
from that point on. So I don't think the Ravens are going to wait now until week 3, week 4 to get Derrick Henry. Like he's going to. This is going to be, he just got paid. His money got his bag, and I just expect the Ravens to just come out the gate firing on all cylinders here. You're returning a majority of the same group. You're bringing in, Hopkins now, DeAndre Hopkins to the fold, but he's a veteran. I think he'll find his place. We just saw a video of Lamar and Zay Flowers working, down in Florida. So I
Yeah.
would anticipate like Lamar, getting ready with these, guys. Forget about we got Vontae, we got Dantes Walker still. We saw some glimpses of him last year. They have a really good, I think, top to bottom, probably their best receiving core the Ravens have ever had. When you look at talent, like as far as development, like Zay Flowers has gotten better. We've seen Rashad Bateman finally looks like he's finally become that solid, complementary piece to Zay on the field now, and has shown when Zay is out can be that guy. He needs, I think I remember that game last year. I think when they played the Chargers, if I'm not mistaken, where they showed I think the Wired episode after the game, and Lamar threw a pass to Bateman and he missed it, or he dropped, didn't turn around and he dropped it, and Lamar told him we got off the field. You need to catch that. You need to catch that. And then he went back to him later in the game, and he turns around. And I mean, it's great coverage and everything, but Lamar places it right in the breadbasket, and he falls back into the end zone with coverage, with the hand in his face and everything. But he's like, I'm going to catch that football. And I think Lamar has brought out, you can see, has brought out that taking the notch to that extra level with a lot of, especially like these young guys on offense.
Yeah.
Telling these guys like with confidence, like, I'm going to criticize you, but I think he does a really good job of with confidence telling these guys, take it to the next level. And he shows that through his play too. So I definitely think we'll start with week 1, Buffalo coming here to Baltimore, get back game, with how we felt, how everything happened with, in that divisional playoff game. I think the Ravens get a W in that game for sure. I also think it's a commanding win for the Ravens too. And then with Josh Allen getting the MVP, I know a lot of us fans felt like the Ravens, the league gave Josh Allen an MVP just to appease Josh Allen and just get it out of the way, give him his MVP, because we all knew that Lamar Jackson deserved his third MVP for his career. So I think in
Yeah.
that get back game at home, Sunday Night Football, yeah,
That's gonna be one of them ones.
yeah.
Let me ask you this: how do you feel about having the bye week in week 7? 6 games in, and we're getting a bye week. Do you feel that is way too early for us? Because I mean, are we really going to be banged up and needing that bye week after 6 games? I don't know. I only see this bye week being beneficial if we come out and we're 3-3, 2-4,
Mm-hmm.
or something of that, and we just need to regroup and reset the whole season. Which it, I'm not even going to speak negativity, but it's a possibility. It's not like we're not playing Buffalo. It's not like we're not playing KC, Detroit, and Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a possibility. But how do you feel about that bye week early?
Yeah, because last season the Ravens bye week was week 14.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Ravens went through a gauntlet of 13 games before they even had a break. Um, and they went to the playoffs. They played well in that wild card game and stuff, but it got to the divisional game. It was like, it just kind of ran out of gas. So week 7, I would have preferred it been like 10, like week 10.
yeah.
Now that they've added the extra game, if it was week 10, I found it feels like it's in the middle somewhere.
Mhm.
But if, like you said, if the Ravens come out of this with, was it week 7? So let's say they come out of this 6-0. Let's say they go in all 6 games right here. They go out here 6-0. At week 7, I will say this. I do like the opponents the Ravens have the first 2 weeks out of that bye week. The Bears and the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Just because Miami is on the down ends right now. We don't even know if Tua will make it. Every week with Tua is, a gift from God from him and his, for that team. So we don't even know if he'll be out there. We already know the issues right now with, they're trying to trade Jalen Ramsey out of there. The team itself, Miami, is not that good. And then week 8 for Chicago, we're at home. Caleb Williams got to come to Baltimore in a very, in a very rowdy situation. And, a lot of people have tried to compare Caleb Lamar 2.0 and all this. So that's going to be coming into the fold. And, where's he going to be, with Ben Johnson in that system with the Bears? They have a lot of good talent there, but we haven't seen the Bears put it together. And I think the Ravens are good enough that coming out of that bye week, I think they'd be okay. Now, if they were facing someone like the Steelers out of the bye week, the Bengals out of the bye week, maybe if you flip that, Texans game or the Chiefs game after the bye week, then I'd be a little concerned because then, things can start, domino effect, there. But while I wish it was later, I think having the Bears and the Dolphins after the bye week for the Ravens, even if they have some missteps, I think they're still good enough to win those games. I'm not saying it'll be pretty. I'm not saying it's going to be like they're going to be like a well-oiled machine or anything. But I think if they make some missteps, I feel like the Ravens are good enough. They can still get those games from those 2 teams.
Yeah, and now that you brought that point up, I mean, the Bears are supposed to be better. However, they may still be going through some growing pains. Miami is probably not going to be great. I mean, Tyreek probably doesn't have his head in there. Pause. And then Jalen Waddle, he's a walking ER patient.
Yeah.
And then Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy's now taking the reins. Who knows what that'll look like? And then we're back to Cleveland, then the Jets. To be honest, Miles, we could be looking at 5 straight games where Lamar's not playing in the fourth quarter if this team is playing well and playing how they should play. So if that's the case, the bye week being so early could be a moot point based upon those 5 games. So we agree. W week 1 with W week 1, we agree with that. I think. Yeah, we gotta knock the stuffing out of them.
Yeah.
So we're blow their doors off. Blow their doors
right.
off.
Oh, my bad. So that game's at Buffalo. It's not here. It's at Buffalo. But still, I think the Ravens wants to get back in Orchard Park. There.
Yeah.
So week 2, first home game, playing the Browns, 1:00 game. Not sure who the starting quarterback's going to be for Cleveland right now at this point. Myles Garrett comes back on a largest contract for a defensive player, I think, in history. But again, Nick Chubb coming off of another leg injury, he tore his ACL or something, at the end of the season. The Browns, of course, on defense, they're still solid, right? They gave us problems last year. We did lose a game to them last season. We tend to, for whatever reason, always seem to lose a game to the Browns. For whatever reason, we just find a way to lose a game to the Browns.
Always.
And because of being early in the season, you're coming back from the Buffalo game on Sunday Night Football, amped up for maybe possibly winning that football game. Do you look at that? Do you look at that early on in the season, week number 2, as a hardball game? Do you think that's a hardball game? Regardless of if Shador's out there or it's not Flacco. I forget even got who the backups are at this point. For
the Browns. We got Pickett.
Right, Pickett. Yeah.
Okay. We don't even know who the quarterback is, even though they keep talking about Shador. But
they keep showing his film. I saw his film today.
I haven't heard the coach compliment Dylan Gabriel, or Kenny Pickett, or Flacco, but he's talking about how hard that Shador is working. So
yeah, but I'm like this. The Browns and Kevin. Look, I'll give credit where credit's due. I feel like Kevin Stefanski hasn't been given a fair fair shake at it, so to speak, as far as like he's literally been like the owner wanted Deshaun Watson, which I'm pretty sure he was like, I don't want this here. But the owner wanted Deshaun Watson, and he was just stuck with him there. So, with Deshaun Watson tearing his other Achilles tendon while the other one was healing, he's obviously not going to be available for the entire season, it looks like, for the most part. So he, at least for the first time in his coaching career, gets to kind of pick pick the quarterback that he wants to be the starter. He's got 3 young, quarterbacks he gets to pick from, 2 of them draft picks from this draft. So he's like, gets this kind of, all right, let's see who wins the job kind of thing. So I think that's Bill's confidence for Kevin Stefanski and whoever he picks for that number 1 job there. And look, I don't know the running back situation is going to be like without Nick Chubb, but again, their defense just finds a way. They have Denzel Ward, they got Myles Garrett. Like, they're not slouches on defense. I give credit where that Browns defense has given us fits in the past. Has given Lamar fits in the past. And I just week 2. And also to stack on that point, because week 3, they play on Monday Night Football against the Detroit Lions at home. Do you think that maybe they look ahead at Detroit and just kind of, it's the Browns, like everybody else does, it's the Browns, and just kind of like, I don't know, you just kind of feel like they just kind of gloss over it and forget about, this team does, give us competition. Again, it does feel like a hardball game. Yeah. Week 2, it just does.
And that's kind of what I was saying about the bye week. Like, we have the possibility to go 3-3, 2-4, 6-0, 4. Yeah. Like, everything is on the table. Like, as far as how these first 6 games could go. But gosh, week 2, home opener. If we lose the home opener to the Browns, heads will roll up and down the avenue. Like heads will roll in this town, because one thing Baltimore does not like is losing a home opener and losing to the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
And to lose at home, the home opener, and to the Browns with that quarterback room they have, that would be a problem. So, I'm not going to say they're going to lose, but if they do, Harbaugh's on the hot seat.
Like, week 2 already.
I put him on, like, not like the real hot seat, but the Baltimore fan base hot seat.
Yeah, like, here we go again, right?
Yeah.
These hardball games, we're trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. The Ravens just give them another 2-year extension. So, you can't keep losing to teams like this. Like, I don't care if it's division rivals or not. Right, and the home opener. Fans are excited. Fans are ready. And with how bad the Orioles have been playing, Baltimore fans are looking forward to a team that they can actually, like, we have a real shot of going to a Super Bowl here. Yeah. Losing to the Browns in the first home game of the season. The weather's going to be warm. It's going to be nice. Yeah, I agree. Like, it's be like, come on, man. What are you doing? So we'll come back to that one. Now, also, this is the only divisional game they have until week 11, where they play the Browns again. So they play that was kind of weird to me how they stack this. Like, the Browns are in week 2, and we don't play another divisional game until week 11. And then after that, it's like Bengals, Steelers, Bengals. After that, like, the NFL's been a little wild with these divisional games in every division. I don't know. It's been a little wild with how they've been doing it. But we'll come back to that one. We'll just put a W/L on this one.
All right.
Monday Night Football, week 3. We're at home against the Detroit Lions. Now, this one could be an interesting game. Jared Goff coming off of probably one of his worst games in his career in that NFC Championship game against the Commanders, where he just imploded. He threw 4 interceptions in that game. Mm-hmm. Now, look, they have a phenomenal, offensive crew there. They got Laporta at tight end. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown at wide receiver. You got Jahmyr Gibbs at running back. Also, who's the other guy they have?
David Montgomery. Also, that 1-2 punch there they have in the backfield. Like, you're bringing Aiden Hutchinson back off of his leg injury. He'll be back for that game as well.
and like they were very, very banged up, in the playoffs throughout the season. The fact that they even got that far without having any hiccups is just a testament to how tough that team is. But they'll be coming into Baltimore on an 8:15 Monday Night Football. That Ravens defense is going to probably get tested.
Yeah,
tested for real, because that secondary, bringing Nate Wiggins into the fold now. You got, you say, Kyle Hamilton. You also got Malachi Starks as a rookie as well. Mullen Humphrey, and then still not sure about, is it Awize playing on the other outside corner? I feel like the Ravens may still make a move for either Jair Alexander or Jalen Ramsey to get that spot on the outside there, but they're going to be tested at almost every level. And the defensive line, we saw how Jared Goff was, last season, where he was one of those rhythm quarterbacks. Like there were several games last year where he would go 11 for 11, 12 for 12, like not missing a pass at all. And that's kind of, we played Madden before, and how infuriating it is when you're like playing defense and you can't get to the quarterback and he's getting the ball out of his hands at 3 seconds, and you just can't seem to stop him moving down the field. Yeah. Now, it will be interesting to see how this offense does without Ben Johnson. Okay. We will see the first 2 weeks for the Lions, how this is going to look. Ben Johnson did a really good job of making Jared Goff look a lot better than what we have known him to be in his career. He's played his best football with Detroit with Ben Johnson. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like for Detroit. I think that's going to really depend on, for the Ravens, how he looks through the first 2 weeks. Now, if they're struggling, like any new offense does, or any new side of the ball where you're bringing a new coordinator in, but I think the guy they have there was an assistant under Ben Johnson. I think he's the new guy, so it may not even be that difficult of a transition. It'll be pretty seamless. May have a few wrinkles here and there, but pretty much the same. However, because coming off of that game where everybody was expecting the Lions to be pretty much in the Super Bowl that year and imploding the way that they did, not so much the defense. Everybody expected the defense for the Lions to kind of be as bad as it was because of how many injuries they had on defense. Like I think they said, like, both of their starting safeties at some point got hurt. Both of their starting cornerbacks got hurt. Like, it was the fact that he even got that far was a miracle in itself. Shout out to Aaron Glenn, who was defensive coordinator at the time for the Lions. But the offense, Ben Johnson's side, also imploded. Jared Goff throwing 4 picks. They're not utilizing Jahmyr Gibbs when they needed to. Like, there were points in the game where it wasn't that far away. They did what the Ravens do, right? Constantly, all the time. Down by 7 points, they panic. They start throwing the football over the place, and then turnovers happen, and now you're down by 14. Now you're down by 20, when you just should have just ran the football and played your offense. And Ben Johnson panicked in that NFC Championship game, and so did Jared Goff. That sticks with guys. They're going into the season. You try to forget it and stuff, but Monday Night Football against the Baltimore Ravens, a good AFC opponent, and Lamar Jackson on the field at home. I think it's a W. Just because of how the Ravens do against NFC teams. What's Lamar's record? Lamar's like, what was it, 10-0, 11-0, something like that against NFC opponents?
That's more. I think he's like 22-1.
Something crazy, right?
He's only lost to the Giants.
It's like Lamar. If Lamar was drafted by an NFC team right now, Lamar would probably have won a Super Bowl by now. Like with how good he is against NFC teams right now. So at home on Monday Night Football, I just think that the Ravens, depending on how beat up they are from this Browns game, I don't know how that works out, but if they're healthy and Derrick Henry's running well, I just think that what the Ravens provide on the fact that the Lions did lose Aaron Glenn and lost Ben Johnson on both sides of the ball, there's going to be some hiccups. I know those guys are talented over there, but there's going to be some hiccups. The Ravens, on the other hand, you got Monken in there for another year. You got Zach Orr, who started coming into his own towards the end of the season and now gets an off season with a new group of draft picks that he can put into these schemes and stuff. I just think the Ravens are better set up early in this. Now, if this game was later in the year, like week 10, week 11, you give the Lions some time to get the bugs out and stuff like that, then maybe this is a different discussion. But I think week 3 at home, I think the Raiders win this football game.
All right, so Lions lost both coordinators, offensive, defensive. Offensively, I think this is the same for both sides of the ball. Actually, um, you don't know what you have in those coordinators, even if it was the guy under the guy. Pause. That was crazy.
You got 2 of them, man. You got 2 already, man. This is
Because we've seen like quarterback coaches go to offensive coordinator and struggle.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen guys that were great offensive coordinators be horrible game managers as head coaches. So we've seen this happen before. There's no guarantee that this offense is going to still be good at all. Like, and they have some things to work through. Jared Goff's turnovers, Jared Goff's weak arm. How do you keep Jahmyr Gibbs, who's turning into a top 3 running back, happy with enough touches with David Montgomery in that same backfield? How do you deal with
you think that becomes an issue this year? Like Jahmyr Gibbs may I want more care. Well, you see the money coming up, right? With Saquon and Derrick Henry is I want that money. So
this year 3. This year 3
could be an issue.
I'm on Ross St. Brown. Do his touches go down because they have Sam Laporta? They have Jamerson. Jamerson Williams. Jameson Williams, and they just drafted a guy too. So, how can I say this? You can only, damn Miles, I can't. There's no way to say this.
It'll be a pause.
There's so many balls to go around.
There's really no other way to say that.
There's no other way to say it. It's a tough situation. And when you look defensively, do we know Aiden Hutchinson is going to come back the same?
Yeah.
You don't know what you're getting back with him. And that defense, let's not act like this was a top tier defense. It was a playmaking defense. But when teams did not turn the ball over, people ran the score up on this defense. I think we saw it with the Seahawks. We saw it with the Vikings. Then we saw it with the Rams. We saw it with the Bills. I think when teams don't turn the ball over, they run the score up on this defense. And they lost their defensive coordinator. So I'm not as bullish as the Lions this year. At least early. I think maybe they have a better second half of the season. So I take this as a team. I think about 2 years ago when the Lions, we played the Lions and we just finished them in the first half. So I think this could be similar, just because of how early the game is, and it's Monday Night Football, and I think it could be a Jackson 5.
Okay, so W. We did a W there. So next week the Ravens go play Week 4 against Kansas City, 4:25 game. Ravens have struggled in KC. They've struggled there. Lamar has. I don't think he's won a game in KC. We've beat Kansas City here, like in Baltimore before, but I don't think Lamar has beaten Kansas City in Kansas City. So this is obviously pretty sure on Lamar's bucket list to beat Mahomes at home. Now, I will say in previous years, I would be, oh man, Kansas City, here we go. But seeing how they played down the stretch last year, even in the Super Bowl, it feels like this team is getting ready for a rebuild of some sort because their offensive line, they haven't really fixed the tackle issue on the offensive line. Travis Kelce is slow out there right now. Like he's getting even slower. I think we all thought he was going to probably retire, maybe this offseason, but it sounds like he's ready to play for another year. Xavier Worthy, I think had some injuries last year and, wasn't really used the way we thought he was going to be used. He was more of a gadget kind of receiver than anything else. The running back situation there, is fluid, is kind of depending on who's on that night and stuff. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we did see, I think that last year, the defense wasn't as dominant as it was before. It wasn't as stifling as it was before. Like before, they shut everybody down, especially that year they won the Super Bowl again. They shut everybody down. But last season, they definitely did not look like that. They were struggling in a lot of those games, and it did feel like for a lot of fans that the referees were bailing them out of several games. Like there were a few games, of that Raiders game especially, where they lost, where they won by a field goal. Like it definitely felt like the on several occasions that season that the Chiefs were just the refs were bailing them out of several games. And then when they got to play the Eagles in the Super Bowl, they didn't even belong on the field with the Eagles. Like they just looked outmatched. Mahomes had his worst game of the season. Threw 2 picks, threw a pick 6. So right now, looking at the way this team is structured and stuff, and they didn't really make any huge splashes in the offseason, even in this draft, and just kind of, I don't know, it feels like they're not saying a full rebuild. You still got Pat Mahomes, but Kelsey's on his last leg, probably literally on his last leg. This might be it for him. And you have an aging defense at this point. You don't have an everyday running back. Your wide receivers haven't been, even with Hollywood Brown with his injuries also as well, haven't been reliable enough throughout the season to count on. I think the Ravens handle business in Kansas City. I do. I think the Ravens, looking at that situation, I think that's definitely a Derrick Henry game where he goes for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like that feels like a Derrick Henry game to me. Like you let maybe a Derrick Henry and a healthy Keaton Mitchell. Oh man, like I feel like you don't really need to do much else. You got use your tight ends. You got Mark Andrews and Likely. I feel like if they play one of those old school brand of football kind of games against Kansas City, this could be over fast. Again, I just feels like that aura after the Super Bowl. It was the way that the Kansas City lost too. They weren't even really competitive in that game. Like it felt like the Eagles stole that aura from them. Stole that. Everybody was just afraid of Kansas City, afraid to mess up against them. But we saw no, these guys can be had. Like these guys can be, you can pick up, you can intercept Pat Mahomes. He's not interceptable. Like he makes bad throws all the time. The guy, he just gets bailed out a lot of times by either penalties or whatever. But this Chiefs team is not unbeatable like anybody else in the league. So I think early in the season. I feel like this is a team that the Ravens can go ahead and handle. I think the Ravens win this football game too.
Yeah, I'll keep it simple. This isn't the same Kansas City Chiefs team. I think we match up better with them now than we ever have. And I think we have playmakers that can really make Pat Mahomes turn the ball over. And I think Mike Green is going to come on strong early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's going to give Pat Mahomes fits, especially because I still
that
think
might be his game right there.
Yeah,
Mike Green.
His rookie of the year game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we win this one. Honestly, think it's 10 points or more. I think we're going to lock in just because we want to beat the stuffing out of the Chiefs, blow their doors off. So I think this is a W. And the hype train begins after this game. So keep in mind that I said that.
And this is the next game. This is, in my opinion, this is where things could get a little tricky for the Ravens. I feel like this next game is a hardball game. Ravens have won 4 in a row against 3 solid opponents in the Bills, the Lions, and the Chiefs. And then you come against the Texans, who are kind of in that middle ground. You got C.J. Stroud coming off an average year last year. Tank Dell and was it Tank Dell and Nico Collins, dealing with injuries from last year and stuff. But they are still a young football team. And I just feel like this is a hardball game where just the Ravens are looking. You got the Rams coming up with Puka Nacua and Matt Stafford and those guys, coming into town on that next Sunday. I feel like this is one of those games that get lost in the sauce for the Ravens. It's just like, oh yeah, it's the Texans. Yeah, we beat them the year before, But even I think in that game where the Ravens played, I think not last year, but the year before, that wasn't an easy game. We played them at home, and Ravens, I think they won the game, but they struggled to win that football game against the Texans. So I feel like, if C.J. Stroud starts hot, especially, and, especially because he had a very average year last year, this could be one of those trap games where it's like it could be the Ravens just start making mistakes and they just get behind. it takes too long for them to catch up. They make too many mistakes with the wrong moments. Not so much that the Texans will be better than them. I just feel like the Ravens could be. There'll be one of those things. There'll be moments in this game where the Ravens should have taken a lead or should be in control here, but they just didn't capitalize. And I feel like that's that kind. It's a hardball game. I feel like this is the hardball game. I'm going to say L for this one. I'm going to say loss.
You think it's a hardball game?
I think it's a hardball game. I do.
All right. I disagree with you on that. I think the Texans are going to be way better this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a loss, but I don't have a loss from the perspective of being a hardball game. I think it's more that this is a tough team, and we probably just don't play our best. And I only say the distinction of a hardball game because I look at a hardball game like a team that's not good and we just crap the bed. So, yeah, I have it as an L. I think Tank Dell comes back with a vengeance this year. They still have Joe Mixon. I think CJ Stroud, he stops the whole podcast train and the hype train, and he gets back in the lab, and he has a bounce back year. I think Nico Collins proves himself to be a top 5 receiver this year because he was on that path. And I think just overall, I think that team is better.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is definitely an L. We're the hype train 4-0. The Ravens are smelling themselves, and they face a team that can put points up and that can rush the passer. And we have a challenge here. So I think it's a good game. I think it's a close game. I think the Texans pull it out. I think it could be a game where we don't use Derrick Henry as much as we should, and we lose.
Yeah. And I think we just, I don't know, just because of Harbaugh and what he does, we always know there's going to be a couple of those games every season where it's like, why are you not running Derrick Henry right now? Like literally coming off a game where he probably ran, like 150 yards, 175 yards, and like, what are we doing right now? So it's just, I don't know. It's just the Ravens. It's just what they've been doing with Harbaugh.
So maybe it is a hardball game with that in mind.
It's like they're not doing what they usually do, right? They're trying to play overcoach and outcoach themselves and all that other stuff. So yeah. Next we get to that week 6, they play the Rams, another home game. So Matt Stafford and Puka Nacua come to town. Cooper Kupp still in the team, right? Or is he going? He's in Seattle now, right?
Yeah, Seattle.
He's Seattle now. So okay, Puka's now the number 1 guy there, but they bring Kyren Williams, who was a good running back for them last season. Okay. And I think Jared Verse is there. He's coming off it. I think his will be his second year. I liked him coming out of Florida State. Coming into his own. This is a game I think the Ravens. I think it's a fun game. I think the Ravens win this game. I think it's going to be points scored on both sides, but I think it's definitely one of those. It's just a fun game. Like Puka Nacua makes plays. I think Matt Stafford being a veteran quarterback and just in general, the Ravens tend to struggle against those guys that are veteran quarterbacks that have been in the league for a while. And Matt Stafford being, I think was a Heisman Trophy winner and also being a Super Bowl champion now. Like, he knows what to do. Like Matt Stafford is not going to be phased. Now, again, like you said, with Mike Green being a factor in that Chiefs game, the Mike Green factor in a lot of these games where the Ravens are playing veteran quarterbacks, which is, if you look down the list, right? I mean, what, J.J. McCarthy, Vikings, you got Tua, whoever is, which there's going to be a rookie pretty much with the Browns, Jets, Justin Fields. Burrow, I'll say that game. We don't even know what the Steelers are putting out there. Mason Rudolph at this point. Was it Drake May for the Patriots? Jordan Love with Green Bay. So this could be a situation where it could be another. It may depend on how well Mike Green does.
Yeah,
it really will be. I think the one thing about the Ravens, what we've seen the last few years. Just 2 years ago, the Ravens led the league in turnovers and takeaways. But last season, they were almost, non-existent. They barely got takeaways. I mean, we remember that Browns game where Kyle Hamilton, literally the ball is falling right down as slow as it can from the sky. And he ends up dropping it. It was just a microcosm of how the Ravens were just getting takeaways that season. But if you can get Mike Green and, you get Odafe Owe, You get those guys like rushing the passer and causing havoc back there. That changes the entire scope of how this season goes as far as this defense and how it plays. So if Matt Stafford gets flustered and stuff and backpedals and thrown off his back foot and stuff, I don't care how good Puka Nakua is. But I still think it's gonna be a fun game. I think that Matt Stafford, and I think I do like how McVay coaches. I do. He's one of the best head coaches in the NFL right now, and I just think they have enough. They have enough talent on both sides of the ball. I'm not saying that they're not going to be better than the Ravens. I think the Ravens do edge this one out, but I think it's a fun football game. I think it's one of those like 40-35 kind of football games. It's gonna be a fun football game, a good fantasy football type of game.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. This is an L for me.
Oh, okay. Back to back.
This
L's.
is an L for me. I'm gonna say this. I think we match up well. Well, they match up well with us. I'll say that they match up well with us. I think the thing is, I don't know what our run defense is going to look like. That Michael Pierce loss is huge. I think they can run the ball on us. I think Puka Nakua is a good receiver. I think this, like the Rams end of last year, looked like Super Bowl contenders, if we're being honest. But I also think coming off the Texans loss, I think we're trying to figure things out when they come out pressing this game. And I think what I always notice in our best years, we have some early games where we just crap the bed and we have to regroup. And I think this is another one of those games just because I think the matchup is good. Rams match up well against us. So I have this as an L. And I think we go into the bye week trying to figure out how to reset. And that's why I said earlier what may happen in this bye week. I think we go into this bye week trying to reset after 2 straight losses and try to figure out what we need to do to get better. So L here. I know, you may disagree. Both of y'all may disagree, but I think this is a game where we can definitely lose. And let's not act like John Harbaugh doesn't lose to great coaches. And Sean McVay, I think, is a great coach.
All right, Trey, welcome to the show, man. We were talking about the Rams game. We'll go through, we'll have you go through the other first 5 later, but
Yeah.
What do you think? Rams week 6, 1:00 game at home. We're at home. What do you think?
What's up, fellas? Let's see. Rams game. Are we playing at home?
We're at home, yeah.
Yeah.
Week 6. I think we beat the Rams. Week 6. I think, the threat obviously in that game, Puka Nakua, they got a nice little run game over there as well. But I don't know if I'm, too sold on, what they got going on in defense that can stop what we got going on offense. And the fact that it's a home game and it's about the 6th game of the season, I think we'll have some things figured out, especially after already playing 3 formidable opponents in a row. Actually, the whole first 6 weeks is actually insane when you consider the talent that we had to face when you start the season off. But I think by week 6, we'll at least have it figured out against them. So I got the Ravens actually winning this game on my mom's birthday, actually, October 12th.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, nice.
Yep. I'll take the dub.
All right. So week 7 bye week. Travis did pose this question to me. Last year, the Ravens had a bye week in week 14.
Mm-hmm.
This year is week 7. Do you think the bye week is too early?
Too early.
It is. Okay.
I think it's too early. This is probably the earliest bye week we've had in maybe 5 to 10 years.
It's like week 10.
Yeah. If anything,
11.
we're like dead center. Or like I know last season it was like really, really late. I think that might have been one of the latest we've had. But this got to be one of the earliest bye weeks we've probably ever had. To my knowledge, anyway. I could be wrong, but I don't remember us ever having a bye week this early in the season. In fact, most of our bye weeks have usually come at very convenient times in our seasons. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but I guess considering how tough our schedule is early on, it might actually end up working out again for us. Just the fact that we got the Bills, the Chiefs, the Lions, the Rams, the Texans, like those are some crazy games. So I mean, it might work in our favor that we have a bye week earlier than later, but I think it's still too early. I think when you come after that, I have to examine the schedule a little bit more. But I know we don't have a lot of travel in general, so that piece is nice. It may not matter as much, but I always prefer a mid-season to late season bye, just for wear and tear, and usually a lot more things are happening after the second half of the season. So I think it's pretty early, but we'll see. Like I said, we got some tough games leading up, so it's going to be a lot of guys playing hard, and hopefully we come out clean on both sides of the bye week.
Yeah, and I told Travis, I was like, I think it helps that they're playing a home game right after the fact. They're playing the Bears, and then the very next week they're playing in Miami. Where a lot of Florida boys on that team, so they get to go home, with some family and friends and stuff. Yeah. So it's doesn't feel too much like an away game. And the Ravens tend to play well in Miami in general. Lamar especially goes off in those kind of games. So I'm like, that helps in a way. That helps. So bye week in week 7, week 8, Bears. So Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson have now had about 8 weeks to get this offense somewhat on a rhythm together, whatever that looks like, whatever. I think it really depends on what Caleb looks like as a quarterback week 8. I think we saw last season he struggled a lot. They said that apparently that he didn't even really know how to read tape. He didn't know how to watch film. Apparently, like they literally were giving him film, and he was either given no instruction or he just didn't have the wherewithal to know what he was looking at. So he struggled there. And then, it comes out with last week that apparently he didn't want to go to the Bears, that, Bears, if I go to the Bears, I want to go somewhere else. He's refuted that case. So all this stuff's now coming out now about him being in Chicago. But I will say for Caleb's thing, I don't think the film thing is even though you're as a rookie, I don't think that's an excuse. I'm like, there's enough mentors within the NFL and, outside that, if he needed help with film, I'm pretty sure Cam Newton could have helped him with that. Like Cam has been very open about, like, especially what he does with youth football. There's a lot of ex-football players that still want to be around the pro game that, if he reached out to Cam, reached out to Michael Vick, reached out to somebody, about just how to read film as a pro quarterback, he could have done that. So I don't buy that excuse, even as a rookie. I just don't buy that. Now, I will say the Ben Johnson effect in Chicago should be interesting because they have a lot of pieces to use. You got Swift there, you got Roma Dunze there, you got Cole Kmet. I think they draft another tight end. Didn't they draft another one?
The Bears.
I thought they signed another tight end or they drafted one.
I can't remember.
They drafted one. They drafted
one.
Yeah, so I mean they got 2 tight ends there now. So, pause. So I mean, don't laugh at me. Travis had a few. Travis had a few.
Already, okay.
Already.
I prefaced it first though because there was no way around.
He's like, "There's no way around this. I can't."
What was the first one? What I said?
What was it? There's too many balls to go around. I think.
No, the Lions coordinator. We never know if the dude.
Oh, he's like under the dude. Yeah, dude under the dude.
Under the dude is good.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was wild. So, but no, it was. I think that that game. I just it's at home after the bye week. I think depends on how the Ravens after that Rams game, how the attitude is in the locker room. Like you said, if they lose, maybe it's one of those get back games. But if they win, it's like you go on the bye week, maybe you're a little bit, lackadaisical. You got everybody went off for a family retreat or something like that. Everybody's kind of relaxed, loose. Maybe that's one of those games you just like, oh, you forget, oh crap, we're playing the Bears, and you kind of just lose focus for a little bit. So that depends, but I'm still gonna give the Ravens a W here. The Ravens a W, especially rookie head coach and Ben Johnson there, and Caleb. So I'll give him a W.
Shoot. Yeah, I think this is a tougher game. Just because, again, I think it's more of how I view Ben Johnson than and Harbaugh more than anything else. I think
Mhm.
Ben Johnson schemes the hell out of this game, and I think it ends up being a tough game. But I think we pull it off, and I think it's because I'm really banking on Mike Green. All right, I'm just going to say it. Like
Yeah.
I'm really banking on him, Van Noy, and Owe being a formidable pass rush threat. Um, because the Bears' offensive line, even though they put an investment into it, it's going to take some time to gel. It's going to take some time to gel, especially on the outsides. So, I think the defense isn't great. Still, it's not. So I think Lamar could have another Jackson 5 here, and I'm going W Ravens.
Yeah, my sentiments exactly almost. I mean, I just don't believe in what they got going on the defensive side of the ball, and also I'm still not impressed by Caleb. I mean, he had some flashes last year, but I don't think he's going to be ready for what the Ravens got going on. So I got the Ravens winning. I don't know if it's going to be that tough of a game. Week 8 in Baltimore. Ben Johnson, hell of a coach, but I'm not impressed by what they got on the field as far as talent wise. I know they did add a lot of weapons for Caleb, and they're probably going to look better than what we've seen them look. But I think we'll be prepared for that. But offensively, like I said, for the Ravens, I think this is a game where they can kind of go off. Honestly,
All right. So after that, week 9 at Miami, Thursday night football. Um, Look, I think at this point in the season for the Dolphins, they may be considering a coach change at week 9. Like, I just don't think that the Dolphins are they're just in bad shape right now. They don't know what they're doing. Like I told Travis earlier in the pod, like the Tua is every week you don't know if he's going to make it through the game. Like you just don't know. Like we don't know what he's going to be at week 9, and Tyreek has kind of either alluded to or been kind of talking about getting out of Miami. Jalen Ramsey they're trying to maybe work out a trade to get him out of there. So there's not really much to work with. Um, and like I said, with Lamar, every time he goes to Florida, Lamar balls out. Every time Lamar goes to Florida, he balls out. It's something like when how they say the sun affects Superman in a certain way because they say it's a young sun, so it's like it gives him like these like extra. It charges his cells and gives him this extra power. It's like Lamar when he goes to Florida. It's like he goes back home and all of a sudden he's back on like that high school football field, and he just like I don't know. He just becomes like extra Lamar. I don't know what it is, and it's like
Mhm.
every time he goes to Florida, he just shows out. He just balls out. So it's like even though it's a Thursday night football game, I think the Ravens win that one easy in Miami.
Honestly, this is Quinn Ewers is Ewers. Quinn Ewers, is it Quinn Ewers or Quinn Ewers?
Yeah.
This
Yours,
is
yeah.
this is his debut as the starting quarterback of the Miami Dolphins.
Mm.
Tua either loses his job because the coach lost his job, or he's retiring because he had a fifth concussion.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Losing,
don't see him
losing his
making it
mind.
to week 9. Yeah, he's CT in and out. He run around the stadium with his jersey off. Um, Yeah, I think we're playing Quinors. I think it's close early, and that's just because the Ravens are settling in against this rookie quarterback. They probably get the ball into Tariq's hands a lot early. He does some stuff after the catch. Um, yeah, and I think the Ravens take the top off after that. It's a 250-yard passing, 100 yards rushing game for Lamar. Shows out in Miami. Ravens W. Halfway through the season, I got them 6-2.
Okay. Yep. I'm not mad at you guys' takes on that. Like you said, home game for Lamar. Home game for Zay's from Florida too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Home
Yeah.
game for Zay. We got a couple other Florida guys in the building. Like, I think the Ravens gonna go off. And also I'm picking these on like a weighted scale. I'm assuming that, the Ravens have improved on both sides of the ball, which I think they have. And Miami, like I said, is to me, it's one of them uncertain things. Like you kind of don't know what you're going to get from Miami year in year out, especially with questions at the quarterback position, with where Tua is going to be by this point in the season. But like you guys said, by week 9, it's a big chance that it could be some changes made based on health or based on just not performing the way he should. Like we seen some pretty lackluster games from Tua last year when he was on the field. We seen some okay games from him, but we seen more games where we're like, well, what was that performance? So yeah, I don't have a doubt that the Ravens going to go down in Miami and handle business.
Blow the doors off.
Yeah, it's a great game to do that Thursday night in Miami.
Hey, could we have back-to-back Jackson 5s? No, okay.
That would be nice. Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, look, it's possible. I mean, for sure in that game. But after that, week 10, playing away in Minnesota against Justin Jefferson and JJ McCarthy, he'll be, I'm assuming, he'll obviously his rookie season there. Another fun game, just because it'll be interesting to see who they match up, on Justin Jefferson in that game. It'll be interesting. Do they put Nate on that? If they don't get Jalen or Jair, I would assume Nate Wiggins is covering Justin Jefferson in that game. That would be interesting to watch. But I do think the Ravens defense shows that. This may be another Mike Green game. He has a rookie quarterback. This is another situation where, like Adafio and Mike Green, that defense shows out. I think this season has to be as much as good as Derrick Henry and Lamar are, and Zay Flowers and them are on the offense. I feel like this season the defense has to be kind of steal the spotlight a little bit in these games. Like, too often now we've seen the last few years that the Ravens defense has just been kind of like in the background. They make a few plays here and there, but then nothing really that kind of impacts the game. Everything that's impactful seems to happen on the offensive side of the ball. I think for the Ravens to get to that next level, especially in the playoffs, we need to see more impact from this defense, even in the regular season. We got to see more impact. And I feel like a rookie quarterback, maybe 10 weeks now, Mike Green is, up to, 20 sacks in the season at this point. He's got 20 sacks in the season.
That'd be nice.
But no, hopefully, maybe, I don't know, maybe between him and Adafe at week 10, maybe they both got like 4 or 5 sacks. Calvin always got 2 or something. So, I mean, I think this is one of those situations, an away game. You're coming off of a Thursday night football game. So I would hope that the Ravens, this is where you kind of give the Ravens offense a little bit of a break, right? It would be nice to see the Ravens get some shorter fields. The special teams, the Ravens drafted, was it LaJonte Jenkins from Colorado?
Wester.
They got Wester from Colorado, who was a special teams. That's what he does, is he returns kicks and punts. So he finally got a guy that does that full time instead of having Tylan Wallace back there. So hopefully the Ravens special teams and defense can maybe start, especially in these games where they're away and, where the schedule kind of starts condensing itself a little bit, that they can kind of show out and give the Lamar and them some easy pickings when it comes to scoring points. So I think the Ravens win this game in Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what JJ McCarthy is, and that makes me confident. So, I don't know. I think Minnesota's a weird team that kind of blew up a good thing while it was happening before it went bad. And now it's probably going to be bad because they blew up the good thing before it went bad. So, yeah, I don't think Minnesota's even going to be a good team this year. I think Justin Jefferson is going to get his because he's the best receiver in NFL. But I think this is, like you said, Miles, this is a game where the defense shines. The offense does their thing, but they're probably like off the field by the fourth quarter and probably have a short field most of the game. So I think it's an easy W. I think 3 turnovers, however they come. So I think it's a W for the Ravens.
Yep, I got the Ravens winning this game. I understand they have Justin Jefferson. I think Aaron Jones is still over there for another year, possibly. I'm not sure if he's still there or not. I think he might still be there though.
Yes.
But yeah, JJ McCarthy just it's just the unknown with him, rookie quarterback. Usually, Ravens against rookie quarterbacks, I'm usually pretty confident in those games. And what I don't know what the expectation is over there at this point. I think Travis, you're right. I think I don't think they're going to be in a mix this year, over there in that division, especially. So I got the Ravens winning that game in Minnesota.
All right. So on to the Browns game. This is their first division game, obviously, since week 2. 425 game at Cleveland. Just because the Ravens just tend to do this, I want to say this is an L. I think this is an L just because they just tend to do this against the Cleveland Browns for whatever reason. This may be the game where they're featuring their third quarterback by this point. I don't know. But it's just for some odd reason the Ravens, especially Harbaugh, just struggles against Kevin Stefanski. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's another away game. So now they spent 3 weeks on the road at this point. 3 weeks on the road. And maybe they're looking forward to just getting back home. And they got the Jets coming up that next Sunday. So they're like, all right, let's just get through the Browns game. It is what it is. They look at the record like, we only got 2 losses, whatever. So it's like, let's go ahead. Let's go. If we can win the game, we'll win the game. But whatever. So I just take this as an L just because three games on the road. They're looking forward to coming back home at this point.
Yeah, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree solely because they're about to be that bad. I mean, they added some guys on defense, but they didn't add the guys you needed. They added a small defensive tackle to stop Lamar and Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is going to run through that guy from Michigan game in and game out. Tyler Linderbaum is not going to have a problem because he's so small. I don't know. I think this is a game where the Ravens – I don't think this is going to be a trap game. I think this is just going to be domination solely because Cleveland is that bad. There's no Jameis Winston coming through that door to give the inspirational speech. He's not going to be happy to play in the snow. At this point, I don't know who the quarterback's going to be. I think if it's Shador, I think that's a favorable matchup for us because he likes to hold on to the ball. And once again, the Mike Green, Odafe Van Noy trio could have a great game. So I just think this is a W. I think the Ravens take this.
Yeah, I think the Ravens sweep the Browns, so that'll take care of one of my earlier picks. I think they played them first week 2. So, yeah, I think they win this one as well. I think their best shot at beating us probably would have been in that first matchup. But I think they may be in a little bit of disarray by week 11. Not sure what the quarterback situation is going to be, but the fact that that's a question gives me some confidence there. And, Nick Chubb, I'm not even sure if he's going to be a Brown by the time the season starts.
Yeah.
So, not that they don't keep backs because Browns, they keep some backs over there. As far as talent-wise, they usually have somebody decent backing up Nick Chubb. I think the guy with Jerome Ford, is he still with the Browns? Yeah, that guy's a beast. But yeah, I'm just not overly confident about their team overall. Their biggest shot at winning, Miles, would be, coaching with Stefanski. And like I say, he usually gives us fits a little bit as far as scheming up and figuring out ways to keep things close against us. But not this week. I think Ravens push through and get that win in Cleveland.
So to add something in there, Nick Chubb is a free agent.
Free agent officially? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Nobody has signed him. Nobody has made a move to try to sign him. The only team that has a rumor attached to Nick Chubb are the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, I did hear that. Yep. And even if he was,
that makes sense.
Even if he was a Brown, I think I would still say the same thing because obviously there's questions for injuries and things like that. That's why he's not signed yet now. But yeah.
All right, week 12 against the New York Jets. W. The Jets be jetting. You got Justin Fields over there, quarterback. Can't throw the football that well, and you got Garrett Wilson. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for Garrett Wilson. Been going through it. They do have, a good running back core over there, Brees Hall and Braylon Allen there, but rookie coach Aaron Glenn there. It's going to be interesting to see just how they look week 12. AFC East is pretty much locked up now by the Bills, but with just sadly with the history of black coaches in the AFC East don't last long. They don't last long. They just don't. Like I don't know. I don't know, and I don't trust the ownership group there at all either. I think they gave Aaron Glenn a chance, but the stuff that Aaron Rodgers said about how he felt dismissed by Aaron Glenn and all that stuff, I'm pretty sure is going to stick into somebody's brain. Is going to be in the back of their brain about that kind of stuff. And if things go sour there, especially at quarterback, then fingers me pointing at him immediately. And the Jets are going to be one of those teams that are so reactionary to everything. They're just going to, all right, we'll fire him now and go find another head coach. And they'll be doing the same cycle all over again. So the Jets are just the Jets. They implode. They do this to themselves. Jets beat Jets. So Ravens win this game.
Yeah, I think it's a W. They lost 3 people in their secondary. I think this is the DeAndre Hopkins Ravens legacy game because he is going to catch 2 deep throws over Brandon Stevens.
That would be poetic.
And no matter what he does for the rest of his Ravens tenure, we're going to remember that game. So, yeah.
Is that his Anquan Bolden game? Because I feel like that's what Anquan Bolden did towards the end of that season, going to the Super Bowl.
Just a jump ball.
He had traded for him, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know. He hasn't really done much." And then one game clicked, and then it was like,
you figure it out. Just throw the ball up, back shoulder throws all day to him. Right. I think that's how we use him. But they lost 3 guys in their secondary. The defense already wasn't that great. Offensively, you have nothing around Garrett Wilson. But I don't know how good Brees Hall is. He's had moments, but I don't think he can play good against a physical defense. I just don't. And then you have Garrett Wilson. And then you have Alan Lazard. Then you have Josh Reynolds. Isn't Josh Reynolds the guy we cut like years ago from Navy? No, that's somebody else. But offensive line looks sus. I think there are some Ravens backups on this team. It doesn't look good. So Ravens W. I want to call everything a Jackson 5, but I won't. Ravens W.
Yeah, definitely a W. I think I'd be shocked if Brandon Stevens is still in the field by this game. Honestly, I mean, he's not going to be on the same. The leash is going to be a shorter leash with the new team. Harbaugh, we kind of just had to do what we had to do. just watch it turn into what it's turned into. But but like you said, they lost 3 DBs. So I mean, if he's all they got, he probably still will be around. But I think we're probably gonna be gunning for Brandon Stevens. Honestly, that's just the way it goes. Like if he's starting on that field by the time we play him, good luck. Good luck. It's gonna be a long day between Hopkins and Zay Flowers and Bateman, and they're all gonna want to try to get some get back on Stevens, even though it's not like I'm sure it ain't no bad blood, ain't no reason to have it there, but yeah, I don't. There's nothing on the New York Jets football team that makes me feel like we're gonna lose this game. I think we've played against Brees Hall a couple of times already, and I think we shut him down both times. And I think a lot of this schedule is kind of like a recurring theme, but a lot of this is going to depend on how our defense plays, especially along that line, because we just don't know what we have right now. We know what we expect, and hopefully, if that comes to fruition, I think these are the type of games like these last 3 games, this Minnesota, Cleveland, Jets, like these are games we should be rolling in. So, but this game, Jets, I got a W. Another game in Baltimore at home. At that, there's no way they're beating us at home.
And the next game, Week 13 against Cincinnati, Thanksgiving night game, 8:20.
Baltimore.
In Baltimore. I think the last time we had a Thanksgiving night game was when we played the 49ers. And I think that was Suggs played in that game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
We win those.
Yeah. We whooped on the 49ers in that game. I remember that game.
49. You mean that was a Christmas game? I
Was that
think.
Christmas?
Yeah, that was
That
Christmas.
was Christmas. As they did
Yeah.
the Grinch.
Yeah, that wasn't that long ago. That wasn't that long ago. That was a couple of years ago.
Right. So the Gary was get a Thursday night game, and Joe Burrow did. They asked him, and he did complain. I'll put up Corey's comment real. He's like, it's not ideal, is what he said about playing the Ravens in a primetime game at in the bank Thanksgiving night. I expect in this game, Jamar Chase and T Higgins are playing. This is going to be a total of 200 points combined, for the Ravens and the Bengals. This is going to be a game where it's like, all right, get your parlays. Everybody's over their average yardage. Like this is going to be the game of games. Like this is because we saw what happened last season, right? Jamar Chase gets like 200 yards, averaging like close to 200 yards receiving against us, and like 2 touchdowns in almost every game he's played against us at this point. They signed T Higgins and now Jamar Chase to these historic contracts now, but they don't have a defense. They have no defense there. Like it's trash, and they still have Henderson there, but they haven't paid him. Now I don't even know if he may hold out. He might hold out. Like
he's disgruntled for sure.
I would, if I were him, I would. Just like I literally saw 2 of my teammates get paid, and I've been one of the best sack leaders in the NFL for the last 2 years, and I don't get paid nothing. No. Why would I get myself hurt for y'all? Like I'll just wait it out and be a free agent next year. No, y'all messing with my money now. So, but this is an important game. Week 13. Depending on where the Bengals are, and if Burrow is healthy. I said the Bengals are healthy. This could be a divisional one of those, getting ready to try to who wins the division type games for the Ravens and the Bengals. Like this is a very important game. Thanksgiving night. Again, Lamar and them tend to show out in these kind of games. The defense, like I said, the secondary and Zach Orr have struggled against Joe Burrow and that receiving core. It's not even a receiving core. It's just Jamar Chase. It's just his ability just to break tackles and get through that next level, and he's gone. But you can't really do anything. I would hope now if Malachi starts playing center field, you got Kyle Hamilton near the line of scrimmage. Nate Wiggins there too, having another year under his belt. Maybe now that they're younger and more experienced, combination of the two between those 3 guys, that it should help maybe limit him a little bit. I'm not saying they're going to stop him from scoring a touchdown in this game, but if you can keep him even to 100 yards and maybe a touchdown, this is a winnable game for the Ravens. This is a winnable game for the Ravens. They don't really have a running game right now. Again, this is another Mike Green game. You got an experienced quarterback in Joe Burrow who gets the ball out fast. Can they get pressure on Joe Burrow and force him to make mistakes? That's going to be the key in this game for sure. I think we know what Derrick Henry and Lamar are going to do. We've seen this Ravens offense put up point for point against this Bengals team even last season. Can the defense stop the bleeding? I think that's going to be the key in this game. So I'm going to say, because it's Thanksgiving night, I'm going to say this is a W. Thanksgiving night, I'm going to say it's a W.
Look, I'm with it. I think it's W2. I think primetime, Lamar shows up. I think it's a duel for the ages. I think this ends up being the game of the year. Mm-hmm. But I think, the difference between the Ravens and the Bengals is Malachi Starks. I think Malachi Starks has his defining rookie year game, and I think he plays well in the secondary, and I think he gets a key interception. So I think that's the difference in the game. That interception on Burrow, and the Ravens take it home for a victory, and the hype train builds up again.
Yep, not mad at that. I mean, look, it's Thanksgiving night. Our Thanksgiving record is, it speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm.
Our Ravens are top tier athletes on Thanksgiving night, and like you said, this team has no defense. And our defense is not the same. Specifically speaking, on our secondary side of the ball, yes, they go crazy on our secondary every time we play the Bengals, but when we played them last year, the personnel was slightly different, and we know who was the ones on the field getting smoked, and those guys aren't even on our team anymore. So I'm not as concerned as far as the whole. I mean, Jamar Chase is still Jamar Chase. T Higgins is still T Higgins, but at the end of the day, those games were close, and that was with them bludgeoning our secondary, and I don't think that happens again in this game. And hopefully, like I said, with that hopefully an improved pass rush, Burrow just won't have enough time to pick it apart. But yeah, I got us winning this game. I think offensively we'll be super duper sharp. I like that this is kind of starting off our 3-game stretch in a division. And if you look at the schedule, it's pretty favorable for us right here. We playing them on a Thursday. We get a long break before we play Pittsburgh, and then we finish up the division stretch for that week. For the following week up in Cincinnati again. But I think this first round we're for sure going to get them on Thanksgiving night in Baltimore. Easy work.
All right, next game, week 14 is our first game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, look, a lot of this does depend on Aaron Rodgers. A lot of this depends on if he's there, available. But it also could depend on the fact that the Steelers are getting older in the secondary. Pickens is gone now. You got DK Metcalf there, but you don't really have a solid number 2 wide receiver. You just don't. You don't really. You got a good tight end there, Pat Freiermuth. I think Jalen Warren is still there. Najee Harris is gone. They did sign a running back out of the draft, but I never heard of the guy. So the Steelers. I don't know. They're hard to really pick right now.
Yeah.
I just feel like in week 14, this could be one of those where it's like maybe this is looking like Mike Tomlin's first losing season. Right. If Mason Rudolph is the starting quarterback, like if Aaron Rodgers decides he's not playing and Mason Rudolph is the starting quarterback, week 14, I don't even know if Mason Rudolph is the starting quarterback, I don't know if Mike Tomlin survives through week 14. It's just going to look bad. I just think there's too many moving parts. TJ Watt is getting older. He's like due for he gets a groin injury every year. It seems like now at this point, like he didn't look the same player like after towards the end of the last season. Like he was kind of non-existent towards the end of last season. Like he was very impactful in the beginning of the season, and then later on in the season he's getting older. He's getting older. He can't play that at that level every game like he used to, and I think this wearing on him. And I just think Minka Fitzpatrick's getting older. Their secondary is not as good as it was. Their linebacking core is they got P Queen over there, but he doesn't do it. He doesn't scare anybody. Now they did get Malik Harrison, but you got literally two of our cast offs. So you can have them. It's fine. It's whatever. O-line is still questionable in Pittsburgh. And again, you're getting ready to go into OTA soon. You don't have a quarterback. Like you see guys working. You see guys are already in camp, rookie, whatever, are already doing work at their facilities, and the Steelers sitting here waiting around for Aaron Rodgers. And we already know how he was with New York with the Jets. He didn't want to do any of that stuff. He didn't want to do any of it. He had a trip to Egypt. We had an Egypt trip. He just missed minicamp completely. So I'm like, he's not going to be even if he does get there, he's not going to be locked in. So I'm like, by this point in week 14, he has no allegiance to. I think what the difference is in this situation for the Steelers are known for like homegrown. You draft the guy, you build him up through your system. He's a Steeler, right? You build him up through the system. He's a Steeler. He feels like he's a Steeler. Aaron Rodgers just feels like he's just a gun for hire at this point. It's a mercenary. He doesn't care about the Steeler way. He doesn't care about any of that. So I'm like, it's. And look, we saw what he had. He had Garrett Wilson last year, and they put up decent numbers and stuff. They kind of always look at his numbers towards the end of the season. Yeah, they still lost a lot of those games. Like it doesn't matter. Like defense is not going to be nearly as good as it was in New York. That Jets defense is a lot younger and a lot more aggressive there. The one is the Steelers ones it's just older. They're just older. Yeah, they have good players, but they're older. And it could come to one of those situations where it kind of reminds me of like the movie The Replacements, where the quarterback comes back after like he crossed the picket line and he tries to come back into the game, but the players there like don't really care for him. They don't like him, and they want Keanu Reeves' character back, in the locker room. I feel like that Aaron Rodgers is not going to vibe with the locker room. He's not going to, he's just not going to get along with the guys or whatever that is, and there could be one of those those locker room implosion things where it's just I don't know. I just feel like the Steelers are just heading for like, all right, you guys need to rebuild and stop trying to do all this, patch things up with tape kind of situation. So I think the Ravens win this game handily against Pittsburgh at home.
Yeah, I mean, this roster looks awful. Golly.
Yeah, it's
I
bad.
mean, yeah, I haven't. They're bad. I don't know what to say. I'm looking in disbelief that the Steelers let their roster get this bad. I mean, look in the secondary. Who scares you outside of Minka? There's nobody scary. Deshaun Elliott.
The Joker.
That's who you're trotting out there against the Baltimore Ravens. You have Jalen Warren as your lead back. Granted, he's a nice little change of pace back, but your lead back, only talent on this offense is DK Metcalf and Pat Freiermuth. Everything else is looking pretty rough. Yeah, I don't know what to say, man. Malik Harrison left to go be a backup still.
Crazy work.
Crazy work. Yeah, I think this is easy W. I don't have anything else to say. Sorry, Mike, you're gonna be gone. If they're smart, they would hope the Browns are dumb enough to trade them Shador to give them some sort of hope.
Right.
Listen, this seems like a setup for the Rooney family to get Mike up out of there and be justified about it. Honestly,
Yeah.
But, you know, it's hard to say that they would sabotage a whole season to do that. But yeah, I do have Ravens winning this game. I think whether Aaron Rodgers is there or not, I don't think it's going to matter. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers was there, one, I don't know if he's making it to Week 14. Two, he's in the AFC North at this point. It's not going to be the same thing. Like, it's not going to be the same story like when we've seen against the Jets. He got to play the Bengals twice. He got to play the Browns twice. He got to play us twice. I just don't see Aaron Rodgers ever surviving through that in a season. And I don't think he quite had that thought out when he wanted to come to the Steelers. And maybe he's having second thoughts about that, and that's why it's taking so long. But any quarterback, to me, I don't care how legendary you are. I don't care if you have a Super Bowl. I don't care what your numbers or stats have been over your career. If you're not showing dedication to your team, if you're not showing like any form of sacrifice whatsoever to try to commit to whoever you into the Steelers or to wherever he thinks he's going to be a part of, is like you're already kind of sending a message. If I'm a Steeler, if I'm on that team, I would rather not have you at this point. Like you've already kind of showed your hand, and even if you do end up here, how can I trust that you're going to have our back when things get tough, whatever the case may be. I just think it's pretty phony, honestly. Just to keep a organization hostage. I mean, I get it. It's still a business, and it's like, however long they let me wait is the amount of time.
Yeah, that's on the Steelers, man. They
Yeah,
could have drafted somebody. They could have signed.
It is on them, and they did overlook. They overlooked Shador multiple times in that draft, just like a lot of other teams did. It's going to bite them in the butt. I'm still highly, highly shocked about that, seeing as though Mike Tomlin is the head coach, and the fact that Shador just got skipped so many rounds, and knowing what their quarterback room currently looks like, and if they did that to appease Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers still ends up not being there, or if he ends up coming there and he doesn't pan out, yeah, it's obviously going to be some changes going on over there, and unfortunately, Mike Tomlin is going to have to be the face of it. But yeah, Ravens is they're gonna destroy this team, and this is 2 home games in a row. We got the Bengals Thursday night, a big break, play the Steelers on a fresh extra days of practice.
It's another bye.
Yeah, pretty much no mini bye.
Not mad at it. So in that case, I'm not really mad at the Week 7 bye at this point. The way now I'm seeing how the schedule.
I said the way the schedule kind of shakes out. It's like,
yeah,
we're not traveling far, because if you look at it,
no West Coast game
at Cleveland, then we come home 3 games in a row.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like that's almost like a bye week in itself, like built in. So I'm not mad at that. But yeah, Steelers are going to get rolled no matter what happens. Even if we come off a loss on the Bengals, it's going to be bad for them. If we come off a win for the Bengals, it's going to be bad for them. Either way, it's going to be bad for them.
Bad, right?
Yeah.
W.
All right, Week 15. Bengal, we're at Cincinnati. I think the Ravens lose that game.
That's the one.
That's the one they lose, just because again, if they're healthy, the Bengals, I think, are going to be a dangerous team offensively. I think they're gonna lose some games they should win because that defense is just trash. But this is maybe one of those games where Lamar just gets outgunned. He's like, Lamar put up 4 touchdowns, but it's just like defense just can't stop Jamar, man. Can't stop Jamar Chase. So I think the Ravens lose that one. especially coming off the Bengals and the Steelers, and they just like, all right, we're looking at looking forward to Week 16 at this point with New England. So I think the Ravens lose that game.
Yeah. I think it's a combination of complacency, and also just how good offensively the Bengals could be. I think shootout, and yeah, I'm with you. I think it'll be a close L, and a great game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game for sure. I do have us losing that game. I think just, playing them 2 weeks before, I think the Bengals are going to have that tape they need on us. And, I don't think they're going to come out trying to do the same things. And it's probably going to catch John Harbaugh off guard a few times. And, adjustments has been our Achilles heel. I think we did a lot better with adjustments last season, though, however. But I think that, this is just the series that I do respect the Bengals. And I think that, I respect Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I think that's really the only reason I'm giving them the W. But that offense is still what that offense is. It's just defense that's not, And also Trey Hendrickson, if he is on the team, he's still going to be looking for some get back as well because he does not forget about what Lamar did to him last year.
Yeah,
and he had to watch that for a year straight. So
had him on skates, man.
So if they have any type of juice on defense, it'll be because of that moment, especially if they're not getting it done on Thanksgiving night. I just think they'll have the film needed to try to get over the hump. Probably be more of a coaching win than anything.
Yeah.
All right. Patriots, we're at home. Mike Vrabel, head coach. Drake May, W. I think I say much else than that. W. This could be the game that locks up. If depending on the record, I think at that point the Ravens would lock up number 1 seed maybe at that point. By Week 16. It's like, yeah, we locked this game up. This game's over. We got the number 1 seed. It's a wrap. So I get the Ravens a W against New England. Especially we're at home. Like, yeah, they're not ready. They're not ready yet. They ain't got nobody over there.
I think this is a semi-Harbaugh game. I think the Ravens sleepwalk through the first half. I think the Patriots are better than we think they are. They have some young talent, but I just think it's going to take a while for this to become something for the Patriots. I think they could be a playoff contender in about 2-3 years. I like DeMario Douglas. Shout out to my alma mater. They got Hunter Henry. They got Will Campbell. I like a lot of the moves they made on defense. Carlton Davis. They got Christian Gonzalez, Harold Landry III, who I wanted to come to the Ravens. So they got some talent, but they don't have it at the quarterback position, and that's where it matters. So I think we sleepwalk through this just because we're coached by John Harbaugh. But I think second half we turn it up and get a victory.
Yeah, I think we win this game. I don't really have too much to say about it. I mean, we're still home. Then we got to, yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those games. It's a game that we should win. I'll say that. I think, especially coming off a loss that I'm predicting the week before, I think they'll make some corrections and take care of business against the Pats. It's not really anybody over there that I'm. I do like Drake May. I do think he's going to improve, but we'll see where he's at come Week 16. But I don't think it'll be enough for to get over the Ravens in this game. I think the Ravens still win this game. I think it'll be closer than what people think, though.
All right, Week 17 at Green Bay, time to be determined. The Packers are another team that's kind of hard to pick because, they dealt with some injuries last year as well. I think Jordan Love got injured in that Brazil game in Week 1, and he was out for a little while, but then the receivers got hurt. So they play in a tough division in NFC North. They're still a young team, that hasn't really had time to just kind of gel together just because of injuries. So depending on health, this could be, it's going to be a December game in Green Bay. It's going to be cold. So that could be an L. I could see that being an L. They have really a good run game. We got Josh Jacobs over there. Like I said, depending on where they are in the playoff race, for sure, that could be a game that's going to be tough just because how cold it is, for sure. So I could see that being an L, Week 17. I know Jordan Love isn't that good as a quarterback, but Matt LaFleur is a decent head coach. He's a pretty good head coach. And I said, if they're in a playoff hunt, it could be. Again, like I said, it could depend on what the Ravens' record is. The Ravens are like cruise control by this point, week 16, where they're just kind of again overlooking it's an NFC team, so it just like doesn't really affect our AFC issue, like AFC standings. It doesn't really matter. So it's like I can see this being an L.
I think this is a W. I have the defense showing out this game. You know what? I was just looking at Green Bay's depth chart. I forgot they had like 3 wide receivers have season-ending injuries last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering how they're going to come back from that. And they have nothing else outside of that. I mean, they got Matthew Golden coming in as a rookie. They got Josh Jacobs, Tucker Kraft. I like, but from a receiver position, it's going to look pretty scary depending on how these guys come back. Yeah, I think it's a defensive masterclass. I think the defense shows out. This is usually the time of season where the Ravens really hit their stride. So I think, this is probably going to be their most complete game versus a worthy opponent. And I think this is one of those 34-10 games.
Yeah. Yeah, you actually changed my mind. I think I had this as an L, but you just reminded me of all of those injuries they had on offense. The best thing the Green Bay Packers has going for them is Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs played like a man possessed at the end of last season. I don't know what got into him, but he literally played amazing every game down the stretch. So as long as he doesn't repeat that, I do think the Ravens should win this game. This is probably a game that's going to be flexed to the nighttime, so it's probably going to be a primetime game whenever they schedule it. Lights are going to be up, and we all know what Lamar Jackson does when them lights are up, when them lights are on. And I think it's going to be a big day for him and Derrick Henry. Honestly, I think offensively we're going to put on a showcase in the cold, whatever the temperature is going to be. I think it's going to be one of those Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. It's going to be one of those games where it's like, okay, now we're ready for the playoffs. At this point, I think it's going to be one of those type of games where they're going to put on. Like Travis said, I think it's going to put on like a clinic. It's going to be pretty much as complete of a game that we played all year and run away with it. Which is crazy, like I said, because I feel like I had this game as a loss at first looking at, but thinking about the roster, there's really only one guy over there that I'd be concerned with, and that's the running back. So I got the Ravens winning this.
In the last game, Ravens to be determined at Pittsburgh, Week 18. This will be interesting for the simple fact that are the Ravens sitting starters for this game? Are they sitting anybody for this game? Even though it's the Ravens Steelers, it's like, but the Ravens did this before. What was it? 2 years ago when Jadeveon Clowney, it was raining, pouring rain outside, and the Ravens had already locked up the division, so the Ravens our seed was locked up, so they didn't really need to win the game. So it was like I feel like this would have been better if they put one of the Bengals maybe at the end of the season, for if it's the division game. If you're really looking at it, I don't know why they put the Steelers at the end, looking at the way the Steelers have been, their roster is shaking out to be. But this really is going to depend on the Ravens' record at this point. If they locked up the division, and we know how Harbaugh gets. Like, he may not be chasing number one seed. He may be just comfortable winning the division at this point and just getting like on a playoff spot, locking up a home game week 1, and just sitting. I feel like with the Ravens, I think we're going to be at this point in week 18. I definitely think they're sitting some players. Maybe not everybody, but I think they're definitely sitting some players. Maybe guys that have had some nagging injuries, maybe lingering in this season. Like, I just sit out this one game so we can get ready for the playoffs coming up. But I think the Steelers are just so. The roster is so messed up right now. And saying if Tomlin even has a job, by this point in the season in week 18, I think the Ravens roll the Steelers, and even in that game, week 18.
I think they said Lamar. I don't know Derrick Henry's contract. This is the incentive game, so it's hard to call. I think where we're sitting record-wise, it's more of an incentive game, guys trying to get their bonuses. So I think some of the starters definitely play, and then they come out after they get their bonus. and I think it's the Cooper Rush game. I think this is where, like, if we had Ty Huntley, I'd give this an L. But I think Cooper Rush is just a better quarterback. So I think this is a W. I think, they take this one home.
Yeah, I got it as a W too. Yeah, I think Cooper Rush is probably better than whoever they're going to have out there by this time in week 18. So, yeah, I got this being a W. I think I don't know. I don't think this game is going to matter too much, but yeah, I think it's a W. We might end up resting more players than not, though. Honestly, considering that it is a away game. If it was a home game, guys would probably be more considering the play. But yeah, I think I don't really have much to say about the game. I just think we win it, whether we got backups out there or whether the starters is out there fighting for the incentives. I think either way how it goes, I think we get it done. It'd be interesting to see if some of those changes have been made already in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
By the time this game even gets here, I know they've never made any changes like that mid-season.
Yeah.
But
they've never been on a quarterback market like this before either. So
that's also true.
Things.
Yeah. Miles, did you say a W or L?
I said a W.
All right.
Yeah. So Trey, first we said we talked the first 5 games. What do you think? What do you think about the first?
Yeah, I'll run through them quickly. The toughest one for me. This is a tough games to predict for me. The Buffalo one is really, really tough because I have them losing 2 games out of this first 6 weeks.
Okay.
We're gonna beat the Browns, and that's the only lock that I had. That's the only lock that I had. When I came on, I immediately said the Rams, but I'm thinking I'm changing my answer, and I know it's on my mom's birthday, but I do think we lose to the Rams. And I do think we lose to the Bills in the opener.
Oh, okay.
I do. I think it'll just be, I think everyone's expecting us to come back and just get our revenge right away. And it to me, it probably won't work that way. I mean, we got we do have some turnover on defense, and we got to kind of get these guys acclimated to a lot of things. And I feel like Josh Allen and the Bills, they're kind of going to come into the game kind of looking just like they did last season. And, they kind of got their system rolling already. We're going to have, guys are going to have to work into the mix and kind of get used to everything. So I'm going to have us losing to the Bills and the Rams. I do have us beating the Browns, the Lions, and the Chiefs. So overall, I got us with 3 losses. Oh, and the Texans as well. I got us beating the Texans too. I just think – just looking at that game last season, I think we beat them too bad. I don't know. I feel like we can do the same thing again this year. So yeah, I got us losing 3 games, but I do got us beating the Chiefs and the Lions.
All right. So I think out of all of us, I think Miles has us 12-5, and then I got us 14-3. And Trey, you got us 14-3. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was that's a tough opening schedule, man. I don't think I remember seeing a schedule that tough in the first 6 weeks. Like the Bills, Chiefs, Texans, Lions. What? That sounds insane.
I got us in that Bills
And the
game
Rams?
solely because of our upgrades in the defense. Like banking on that, because the Bills haven't upgraded offensively.
No.
They're the exact same team.
Their receiving core is pretty much it.
I honestly had to pick somebody, and I don't know. I feel like we do well against the Detroit. Like I feel like we do well
NFC
against
games,
Detroit.
man. Those NFC games.
And the Chiefs, they haven't shown me that
they're bad.
Yeah, like I think I just have a sour taste from what I've seen in the Super Bowl from them. And to me, I just can't see us lining up against that, especially, they lost D-Hop. We got Hopkins going to be playing against them. to me, I just couldn't see us losing that game. And I think, it's time for Lamar to start upping the score against Mahomes anyway.
Yeah.
And the other, what was it? So Detroit, what was it? The Bills, Detroit, the Chiefs. So yeah, I was like, I know we're losing. I had us losing at least 2 games out of that 6-week stretch. I just can't see us running the table against all 6. I would love if we do, but I had to pick 2. So the Bills, to me, even though what I really think is going to happen, I do think we should win that game. I just think it's week 1, so it's like so many things can happen, and like I said, I don't know. I just had to pick 2, so that was just that was the ones I picked. Hopefully, I'm wrong about the Bills game though.
We'll do some quick NBA conference finals talk real quick. So obviously the biggest one I think everybody's focused on, Knicks Pacers, after the choking in New York against Indiana. Halliburton comes out with that clutch 3. Was it a 3-pointer? And they take over in overtime. Like, I mean, it just felt like the Knicks were just I don't know, and it was all like it was all just like kind of like poetic in the sense that Reggie Miller's calling the game, and then Halliburton does the choke symbol, like after the game. Like, it just, I don't know, and now you got Knicks fans are crashing out like online. They're just like, can't believe they lost at home on this game 1. It feels like it's already over for them. And now the Pacers are, I think they play tonight at 8:00. But it just, I don't know. It just feels like, I know it was game 1. It's game 1. This series is not over. But from the way New York is operating right now, it just feels like, I don't know. Halliburton, I feel like ever since his dad got on the court and got in Giannis's face, it's been different. It's been different, since then and everything. So I'm like, I think Halliburton's just been on a mission. Halliburton's been on a mission, man. I think a lot of people have been down. He was rated the most overrated player, I think, in NBA. So I think he has an axe to grind by his peers, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm like, he's got an axe to grind. So I'm like, it's been fun though. I will say the playoffs have been better. I feel like it's nice seeing like the teams like OKC and the Timberwolves. You're like not traditional, powerhouses going at it. Knicks back in the playoffs. I was thinking, no matter what the sport is, it just feels like with baseball and basketball especially, it's always good when New York is in the playoffs. It just is. I don't care for the Yankees. I don't care for the Knicks, but it just adds an extra, like, feels like an old school classic element when those New York teams are in it. But we are watching them crash out after that. How quiet the Garden was when they lost. It was wild.
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think we're seeing the changing of the guard, like right now. Like, you seeing the Warriors are getting old as hell. LeBron old as hell. Luka fat as hell. Like, you're seeing the changing of the guards right now. And it's cool to see Halliburton like really take the overrated vote like to heart, because he wasn't doing this during the regular season. It's like something pissed him off in that first round. It's probably the whole dad thing. So yeah, it's good seeing that. Jalen Brunson, I think, is one of the most underrated players in the league still.
Playing great.
Yeah, and Zesty Cat is like turning up in the playoffs. Like, the zestier he's like Jalen Ramsey. The zestier he gets, the better he plays. So I mean, it's exciting to see. I don't think the series is over. I think that was an anomaly because it's definitely going 7. I mean, maybe the other one's over, but this one's going 7.
Yeah, this was this got me back because, like I said, I wasn't following the playoffs yet. Like, I needed something to. I don't know what it was this night, but I was up and I was watching the game. I don't know, because like I said, I have not been following no playoffs for some reason. This game, I think I started watching like the end of the second quarter. But I know the Knicks had no control of this. I mean, Knicks were in control of this game, for most of the game. It did not seem like, they were ever about to lose this game. I think they were up like 14 points for like 2 minutes and some change left. And then I'm like, all right, this cat, Nesmith just started draining threes out of nowhere. Like, I think it was 8 for 9 by the time it was all said and done. Like, he hit like 6 in a row. Like, that was insane. Like, and apparently he's like that. Like, I looked up his number, like, oh, he does this. So it wasn't a fluke. But the fact that they could not play good defense against this guy, like, defense was, you can just forget about defense in this game. Like, both teams just said, it was just a wrap until it mattered. But yeah, that game was phenomenal. Jalen Brunson had a phenomenal game. Like you said, Zesty Cat, phenomenal game. But these Pacers, man, like,
they're not going to go away.
They did not go away. The clutch basket after clutch basket after clutch basket. Every time the Knicks went up, they had an answer for it. When the Halliburton did the choke, and after he's tied the game up, when he thought he hit the 3, I was like, oh man, it's a little too early for that move. But luckily they hold on and they won. And like you said, Reggie was calling the game. Like that was insane. And I don't know if y'all seen it, but did y'all see Larry David on the floor? They have a video of just showing his reaction of the last moments. It's like classic.
I gotta watch that, dude.
Yeah, you gotta. But when I find it, I'll send it to y'all in the chat. But you gotta watch that whole thing unfold. But yeah, Knick basketball, like Celebrity Row and all of that, just all of the reactions, insane. But that's what happens when you play with your food, man. Like they had that game in the bag, but they did choke that game away. And luckily for them, the best news is that it was just game 1. So we'll see how they respond. But this is a series I will be following now that I saw that game, and all right, I'm back. I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm back. So from here on out, I'll be following more of these games, and that was just a hell of a game for me to start my playoff debut this season.
Yeah.
So watch.
I think it was Zesty Cat wearing the F Boston shirt after the series was over. I thought was like
the last series.
I feel like it's like, if you're gonna do that, do it during the series. Don't do it after the fact. Do it during the series.
Yeah.
Like, what does it matter after? Who cares? You're playing Indiana now. Like, you're not playing them. I feel like if you're gonna do stuff like that, do it during the series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that after the fact. Like you were waiting for something. Like, be confident. If you think you're gonna win, you're gonna win. Like, so I think, like, with them losing to the Indiana, that game 1 was just like, all right, y'all thought y'all had it in the bag. Y'all thought y'all had it in the bag and closed it. Yeah, okay. It's not gonna be that easy. But but then we saw SGA win, MVP. It got leaked. Apparently, a lot of people were upset that it got leaked hours before, I think, before the game on TNT, where they do the whole press conference and they announce who won the MVP. And a lot of people were upset that, I think, Shams, is it Shams? Is his name?
Shams, yeah.
Had released it, hours beforehand. But they even said Mike Malone had mentioned it in a interview he did. I think that's why SGA won MVP, like hours before it was supposed to be announced on TNT. So it was, a lot of people were upset that they didn't get to do the whole build up to who wins the MVP. But it was nice seeing SGA win. I think he was a front runner last year, to win MVP. But it's been nice to see him grow, like, especially in the game. Like, when he came into the league, he's really just kind of like, he's good, but he's okay. But he's become an elite player, and it's been nice to see, especially with OKC. They got a good young core over there, and with them, how they're kind of dominating the Timberwolves right now. Like, they're dominating them right now. Like, it's not even close. Like, it looks like it's going to be OKC and whoever wins between the Knicks and the Pacers at this point. So.
Yeah, OKC reminds me of that Warriors dynasty. Homegrown, build it up. You got the right veterans there now with Hartenstein. Damn, it's just Hartenstein. That's the only veteran. Like, but yeah, no, SGA, like, I've followed him since Kentucky because I thought he was, like, really good at Kentucky, but I didn't think he was going to be this type of player.
Yeah.
Because at Kentucky, he was a two-way, like, playmaker. Not saying he's not a playmaker, but he wasn't a scorer. When he was with the Clippers, he wasn't a scorer, and he's added so much to his game. Like he can truly do anything he wants offensively, but he was number one in the NBA in plus minus and number one in the NBA in defensive rating. So he's a true two-way player. So it's great to see him grow into this player. I honestly think he's going to be the face of the league when they win the finals this year. They're going to start marketing him as the face of the league. I think there's been hesitation only because he's not American.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to be the face of the league since Ann is out here dead beating it up. So I love to see them doing well. I love to see him doing well. And shout out to Mike Malone for getting revenge on Jokic, because Jokic had some beef with Mike Malone before he got fired, and Mike Malone leaked the SJ MVP and also said he deserved it over Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good to see. So shout out to Mike Malone.
Yeah, so it should be a good game too tonight. I think everybody's gonna be watching this for sure on Friday night. Let me see if I can go ahead and load
that one. Should be tomorrow. Is that tomorrow? Is that tonight?
The Saturday, right? Saturday
night. Game 3.
Saturday night, yeah.
Yeah.
See if I can load this.
Oh no, game 3 is on. Yeah. Saturday.
Game 3. They just won last night by 20.
This is our new segment, Pause of the Week. As we saw, I'm not sure if this came out yesterday or today, but Brock Bowers was asked about Ashton Genty and said, Ashton Genty is a beast. He's quick, he's fast, he's rocked up, he's thick. I mean,
good generation of that could not have been any more graphic.
So much wrong with this.
Like the first 3 statements are fine. He's busy, he's quick, he's fast, he's rocked up, he's thick.
Brock Bowers said this.
Brock, his teammate, now his teammate.
Well, what? Brock Bowers. How old is he? Because why does he have the dead haircut?
He was a rookie last year, right?
He's bald and Trey.
That's what I'm saying. No, I know. I mean, he has like the dead.
Yeah,
like he got the Alex Caruso.
It's crazy. That's why I'm like, how old is he? Because it's like the poor guy.
I think he's 23.
Yeah,
and that's why he's walking around saying stuff like this, because he's acting how he looks and not how old he actually is.
Yeah.
Like this is ridiculous. Like, how can you say that?
My man Brock Bowers goes to the barber and say, "Give me the PDF."
Right? Like what? Nah, he's
22.
22. Oh wow.
22.
Okay.
Nah, that is absolutely insane.
No wonder he's haircut last year too.
No wonder he's so good at football. He don't care about nothing else.
Right. He clearly did not read the room. He doesn't go on social media. He doesn't understand the lingo.
Yo,
rocked up.
That is absolutely insane.
But Miles, those last 2
those last 2 lines.
They make the first 3. They make the first 3 look kind of crazy. If you look at the last part and then read the first part again,
he's a beast.
They got to reevaluate the context. Like,
yeah,
you don't even need to be hip to pause in the pause game. You don't even have to be.
I wonder if it was
you just a regular Joe just reading this in a newspaper or something. You're probably putting that paper down like, what?
Rocked up, he's thick. What are we talking
about? No, that is crazy. That is crazy.
I wonder, when this got back, I don't know if Brock Bowers said this and it was an interview at the locker room or something and whatever, and this got back to Ashton or whatever. I'm just pretty sure
these are the nastiest adjectives I've ever heard used to describe another man. Like or describe anything for that matter.
I gotta see if he's walked it back yet.
He probably won't. The worst thing you could do now at this point if you're Brock Bowers is just to walk it back. Just to act like it didn't happen. It's off-season football. Once week 1, week 2.
Wait, they're gonna ask him the same question next year, and he's just gonna add an ER to the thick.
No, you're right. He's thicker this year. He's faster. He's more rocked up. It was like, whoa, okay. Look, dog. Like, man, this is something you need to tell us, man.
I need an Ashton Genty response. That's what I need.
Oh man, he's a rookie. He's not gonna say anything. He's a rookie. But he's like, Brock's just saying, he's just, I appreciate Brock, and everything. I appreciate him. I hope Or he's a great teammate.
Maybe Brock has a sense of humor we just don't know about, and he's
right
doing this.
It just has to be like a thing, right? This has to be like I'm gonna make this wild statement.
Yeah, he went to UGA. Like he should know better.
Yeah, like he has to know that this is just. He probably came in that lock. I don't know if it happened the same day or even in the next day. The locker room like, yo, I guarantee you somebody may have put it on. They probably put it on at the team meeting and just put it up on the screen. Put that on the screen real quick.
Hey man, bro, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a Raven one day. You know the Ravens already eyeing this guy probably for when his deal's up.
Brock Bowers. Yeah, look, we talked about that. Trade potentially even on draft day. That you trade Mark Andrews 1-for-1, trade Mark Andrews and a pick or something to get Brock Bowers here. So, I don't. And then knowing that fact, I don't want to hear him talk about Derrick Henry now at this point. I don't want to hear him talk about Derrick Henry.
I think Brock Bowers is going to end up breaking most tight end records. Honestly,
he said 1,000 yards. He had 1,000 yards his rookie year, which is with Aiden O'Connell as his quarterback. That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's about to. Yeah, he's about to make Travis Kelce numbers look.
Yeah, minuscule. He's gonna. Brock Bowers is. I think if Brock Bowers wasn't who he played like he did last year, this will be even wilder. Like, who is this man talking about this rookie running back? But Brock Bowers is putting up numbers, so everybody's like, okay.
Question: is Carl Nassib still on the Raiders? Because that makes it even wilder. If that's the case,
I don't know.
I feel like he's not. Carl Nassib.
Oh no, he retired. 2023.
32 years. That team play for Tampa Bay.
Man, that'd be crazy if Carl Nassib was still on the team. if the first active gay football player says pause to your statement.
He's like even Carl Nassib, or I forgot Carl Nassib came out. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh, was that the guy that was on the pivot?
Was he on the pivot?
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah. I heard that. I see the clips I seen. That was a dope interview, but I didn't watch the whole thing. But from the clips I seen, I think I might actually want to check that one out.
That would have been wild if Carl Nassib was like, "Hey, yo, pause."
Hey, yo, pause. All right.
Like you wild, man. Like, what are you doing?
Crazy. Bigger question.
That had to be that had to. I'm pretty sure Brock Bowers was probably laughing under his breath.
This is the new bar right here. Like.
Yeah,
like on a pause level, like that's the worst.
Keep getting raised, man.
That's the worst.
And Oche's about to start, so you already know they about to roast him.
Yeah, as a rookie, it's gonna be wild. So, anyway, that's our pause of the week, and so that's it for us. This show, likely we don't have anything until maybe training camp. Something happens, a trade happens, or something like that. We take a little bit of a break ourselves. Trey may be taking a little bit more of a break than all of us.
Yeah. Trey going on paternity leave.
Yeah, he gonna be out for a little while.
This might be the only reprieve I get
until football season starts. Until September.
Right, go ahead and turn it into the live from the hammock HR.
I'm gonna have more time to pod after that.
That's true, right? You're gonna have the baby just.
Actually, I'm not even taking leave until her leave is over. So I'm gonna probably take like 2 weeks off, just PTO. But I'm not taking my leave until I think hers will end around November sometime. So I'll start mine after hers. So that's how we're gonna rock it for now.
All right, it should be an interesting season for everybody. So,
indeed.
So that's the end of the show. And don't stay rocked up. Get those off.
Keep your wife stick.
Yeah, keep your wife stick and stay rocked up and all that good stuff.
Still the yams.
Still the yams.
Oh man.
Stealing the yams 2020.
Baby, I'm coming home.
All right, that's it from us. We'll catch you guys later. Peace.